We are back with your questions for our parent panel, and we want to thank you so much again for being so vulnerable in these comments, because I think it takes a lot to publicly ask any question.
It really does.
But Greg, let's start with you. We got a question from a viewer who has anxiety to leave her children with anyone that is not a family member, and she feels very guilty for relying on her family too much. This is in turn impacting her marriage because they're not able to go out together.
Oh, this is a real thing, right? And I think each of us has probably felt at some point, I'm turning to mom, I'm turning to dad too many times. Can I do it again? And so there is going to be that time and place that you need to turn to someone who's not the family member. Maybe it's a local babysitter in your neighborhood. Maybe it's your child's early learning educator. You're going to need to turn to some other caring adult. The important thing is that you know who that person is, that you yourself trust that person, and ideally you find 1 or 2 times that that adult is coming over to your house in your child's space to spend some time together. It'll help you feel more comfortable, and it'll certainly help your child feel more comfortable.
Yeah, it's an interview, kind of.
It is.
A dress rehearsal.
But also, sometimes I think this is a control issue, and especially as women, as a mom, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know, my spouse, my husband, because this happens a lot of times in relationships, they are more than capable of taking care of little Johnny, of little Becky. And if something happens to them or they need to handle a situation, they can do it too, just as well as I can do it, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's just having that conversation, it's being honest with yourself.
Absolutely.
Okay, so here's a big one. The pressure to have kids. People are asking, or have more kids, I should say, or give your son or your daughter a sibling, and people asking you that question. Hey, when are you going to have another baby? This happens to me all of the time.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't know how to respond to it because it's so personal.
It is.
Inappropriate.
Completely.
I think.
Now you're just being
Yes.
heavy.
What do you think about that, Latoya?
So you can set boundaries around the conversation. You can either opt out of it altogether, which is my personal favorite.
I love that.
Yeah.
You can redirect the conversation to something different. The biggest thing is that you do what's best for you and that you're not forced to engage in a conversation that doesn't feel good.
Absolutely.
Because I'm fine with one. Like, one is a blessing. Like, you have to understand that.
Absolutely.
People have to get it.
And I will say, as someone who is an only child, it's amazing as a grown only child to have adults still coming up to me saying, do you wish your parents would have given you? I said, you're reframing the same question you gave to my mom, who was actively trying to make sure I wasn't an only child. You just never know someone's journey. And I think that maybe we should respect families as they are. Imagine that.
You don't know what someone's going
Concept.
through. Yeah.
It's crazy. So, Brie, I feel like, again, back to comparison here, because I know that your kiddos especially are in middle school. So I know that that is very hard territory. And as far as comparing their experiences to others, as far as what they're involved in, the things that they have, how can you kind of mitigate the comparison happening between classmates and friends in your own home?
Yeah, it's making sure that you're having that conversation anytime it's brought up. So a lot of times I'll hear from my kids, well, so-and-so has this shoe, or everybody has this brand of sweatshirt and I really want it. And instead of making them feel bad about that, because I remember being a kid and having those same feelings, it's just having a conversation. Why do you want it? Do you like it? Or is it your style, or are you trying to fit in? And just having those conversations with them. I was also very fortunate to be raised in a house where I valued everything that I was given. I knew that it was a big deal if I got to go buy an expensive shoe for basketball. And I value that in my adult life. And so I just try to pass that on to my kids. And sometimes I don't buy the thing that everybody else has, or make them earn it through chores or something, just so that they see the value that we don't just get things because other people have them. We should, stay true to ourselves, but also understand that you have to work for things sometimes, and you don't just get something just because, the world says this is trendy.
And Greg, how do you tell your kids or teach your kids that really it's all about your personality in the situation like that? Because really they just want the shoes, or they want the clothes or the outfit to be popular. But it's more so about who they are internally. How do you get that message across?
Well, I think the best thing is that you're just having conversations, because middle school are those years that our little humans are developing their identities. And if in those off times, when it's not about the sweatshirt or the tennis shoes, that you're just talking about who you are and what motivates you, what drives you, and you just have those family conversations, it just makes those moments then a little bit easier, because they get a sense of who they are and who they're becoming.
Absolutely. And Latoya, as far as comparing not even materialistic things, I would say more as Hannah's mom doesn't make her go to bed at 8. So when it comes to that is an actual real statement. Can you tell I'm triggered by it a little bit?
This has happened.
Yeah, exactly. But how do you kind of make a differentiator between different families having different rules and, you know, they're being their own sphere?
Yeah, helping a kid understand that different families operate differently.
Yeah.
And so just because it works for Hannah may not work for you, may not work for us. And so we have to create our own routine that's best for our family.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, love this. We could go on and on and on.
But thank you for sharing the expertise that you have so far, which is life experience, and we appreciate
We
you.
all
for
Maybe some
that.
earned wisdom, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
We're all getting through it.
We are. All right. Well, thank you to our parent panel. They will be back next month, Tuesday, March 11th, to tackle more of your topics.